Oi, oi, you beautiful human beings out there, and I honestly do mean that. You know, there's a lot of people just say shit. I really do mean that. I'll tell you what, you know, when I go back to the days where I really didn't give a shit, and now I look at, like, you know, this whole journey completely changed the whole scenery and landscape for me. But, you know, I want to start out by saying I'm not throwing blame here at all. So, you know, and because this involves my wife, and you know, when we get into, which I'm going to tell you about, because I honestly believe, because the first thing that I went to was anger, yeah, frustration, anger, and I know I have an issue with that, and I have a good idea where a good bulk of that comes from. Even though, you know, there's a lot of other different bits and pieces that you're angry at, you know, going through childhood and shit. But when it comes down to, you know, bullying and things like that, it was one of those kind of situations where I'm like, I ain't been hurt, and it's that, well, all of a sudden you start going into that area. But let me tell you, this is because look at me, I'm all right, I'm good. I'm absolutely sweet as a nut. Like, me and me missus are both sweet as a nut. Sweet as a nut. So this ain't blame. I'm using it as a way to teach. And it's the way that I use my own experiences in my work. If it relates, you know, people I know real well that know that I do this, you know, I bring things in and you can relate to it, and it shows you're human and shit like that. So, you know, hopefully this is going to help somebody out there. And if you have any kind of a mental health situation, right, anxiety, depression, whatever it may be, I think you'll connect with this. And if you do connect with this, please pass it on to those people, other people too, please. And if you go and hit the like, subscribe, you're going to get it. You're going to get the message out there to a lot more people that, you know, I've been doing a lot of bloody training with my own mind, and you know, if I hadn't started this journey, I don't know what would have happened. I have no idea. But hey, please, if you would, you know, go on. And I stepped in an ant's nest over here last time. Let me go over here. So please, you know, go and hit the like, subscribe, and pass it around, and, you know, drop me a comment, yeah, because I'd like to hear you guys out there as well. So I get into a bit of a situation where my anxiety started popping off. Not really sure why, and I'm like, ooh, I could feel it, and it was escalating kind of fast. And I'm trying to, because I'm sitting at my computer, and I've just done an edit on a vid that I'm going to put out there. So go and have a look at that as well, but on YouTube. But anyway, so I could feel it escalating, like going kind of like a bit crazy, and I'm thinking, oh shit. And I'll always pull anxiety to frickin' health anxieties and shit like that, because that's what your mind's going to do, guys. It's gonna pull if something is triggering where it's like, whoa, it's gonna pull your mind somewhere. It's gonna pull your mind to something else, and you don't necessarily want to go there either. So I knew I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. So Tracy was in the kitchen, and I go walking out into the living room, and I'm like, whoa, I'm starting to lose it a little bit, and she knows what that means. And but you know, every human being does it, because what she said wasn't really the right thing to say, and it was like, well, don't let that ruin your weekend. And listen, the human mind is going to protect self, even if you don't realise it. This is what I mean. Sometimes, you know, we'll say things and it doesn't necessarily mean what we're meaning. you know, how the other person takes it. So I took that as, oh, yeah, there's no fucks given, right? I went there, which is not the way to go. Not the way to go. You know, the thing to do is like pause. Can you hear me out for 5-10 minutes, right? And be able to communicate. Well, you know, I got annoyed. Yeah, and there was nothing I controlled. Listen, I didn't go there. When I say annoyed, to me, annoyed to some people is like, you know, going a bit crazy. To me, that's like so low down now. That's where I get so bad. It's like, yeah, annoyed is like, yeah, you know. And I thought, you know what? So I'm using this, and I'm using you guys out there to help me out. It's one of my tools. Like, the first thing I thought of is grab the camera and let's get out there walking and you know, basically help somebody. So, what would have been the best way to go about it? What would have been the best way, right? You've got someone which has, you know, there's whatever, like I said, there's all different kinds of mental health out there, and this kind of relates right away across the board. I happen to be depression and anxiety, and I've got the rage with the, you know, I remember when she told me, yeah, you got PTSD symptoms because of the bullying. I'm like, ah, what? But I can see it. I know I trigger there. But anyway, you know, the first thing to do for me would be to hear, oh, I'm sad about that, right? Because it's acknowledging the other person that they're not doing so particularly clever. And if you really love somebody and you've got a really loving, connecting heart, you know, you kind of connect with that. There's an empathy with that. And, you know, it's more of a like, oh, I'm sad to hear that. Don't say sorry, because you didn't do anything, right? A lot of people go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. No, you're sad. Talk emotion, right? You're apologising. When people say, oh, I'm sorry, what did you do? Did you do that? So what are you apologising for? You know, where's your emotion? Get with your emotion. So that would be my first point of call. And then, okay, you know, some questions. What was you thinking? What may have triggered it? Can you remember anything that you was into maybe earlier in the day? Because sometimes you can think of something earlier in the day and then it pops up again later on, or in a conversation or something, and all of a sudden you're popping off. And, you know, when you start to look and become aware of those things, you can start working with that. But the support part of it, you know, is that. And it shows that loving, caring, empathetic heart, which, again, I'm not blaming my wife. She puts up with a lot of shit when it comes to, let me tell you, you know, you got to have some balls of steel sometimes. And she really has had some fucking balls of steel where I've gone fucking like boom, and she's been solid. And yeah, I mean, there's been times when she's been like, no, or you know, things like that where I'm like, whoop, and solid as a rock. Solid as a rock is Tracy, let me tell you. That's the person you need in your fucking corner right there. I'll tell you what. And you know, I take it for granted. So I'm not blaming her at all. It's our own insecurities. It's what I tell my guys. You know, when you're given a scenario, which is what go and have a look at my video on perception and shit like that. I'm not quite sure what to title it yet. I haven't even put it out there yet, and I'm telling you. But there's a whole thing on you know, it'll probably be up there once you see this, because I'll probably do this one after. But go and check it out. Go and have a look at that. It's about, you know, what's your perception of these things. And it's down to us. At the end of the day, it's down to us, right? You know, in Buddhism, you know, it's all about, you know, I watched a monk last night, and he's saying it's like putting on a big lenses and seeing. And being able to pause, breathe. These are things that you can do on your side, right? I reacted a little bit. And, you know, the good thing is yes, I reacted, I engaged. But then I was able to, I've got the ways. Doesn't work all the time, I slip. Shit, I'm human. I'm human. But, you know, I get a lot more of those chances where I've got the tools to be able to go, okay, I'm engaged, but I can pull. And it's, this did it. The camera, you guys did it. So, yeah, support means being engaged with that person when, you know, they're coming to you going, oh shit, I've got like, because you can't stop it, believe it or not. As soon as you get that other person on point and engaged, remember their mind is going all over the place. It's bouncing. And the more it bounces, it just keeps freaking momentum going, because then it bounces into other shit, and then that shit starts moving. So, to get on top of that, if someone is slipping, like I did, I slipped, remind them. Maybe even, and don't go, breathe. Don't do that. Say, hey, listen, breathe with me a minute. Breathe with me. I've done that with people. I've done that with some of my guys. Hey, okay. Let's breathe. Let's breathe. The breath is going to help you out. Let me tell you. And we take it for granted. We don't even breathe a full lung of breath in our daily life. I ain't going to get into that because I'm going to stop. That's a whole nother subject. Support. Yeah. Support doesn't mean where we click into and we go, oh, that's going to mess my weekend up, right? And then we'll go, don't let it ruin your weekend. It's our own insecurities there, but we're going to think that way because we don't pause. And I tell you, you know, that little bit of a breath and that bit of a pause is gonna speak volumes to your mind. Because I tell you what, when you're talking about the amount of information that's going through your brain per minute at an alarming rate of speed that you can't even fathom. You can't even fathom what this is doing. You've no idea, right? There's a lot of information going on in there. And the more you can keep on top of that information, the better. I hope this helps you out. Please, like I said, go and pass it around. Hit me in the comments. Hit me in the comments, right? If this helps you out, if this is something that you can pass on to somebody and it can help them, maybe help you, right? Or passing it on to somebody else that may be in your position and they may be able to pass it to somebody. You know, there's another butterfly. Wow, that's the second butterfly. 2 days and I've seen 2 butterflies. What? It's got to mean something. Now my mind's going, what does that mean? So make it happen, guys, yeah? Love each and every one of you. Stay that course. Namaste.